topic. I can determine the area of a polygon by multiplying the side lengths. So when we say determine, that means we're going to figure out the space inside of a closed shape, which again is another name for a polygon, closed shape with straight sides, and we're going to find the area by either multiplying the side lengths or just counting the tiles that are inside. So area is the amount of space inside a closed shape measured in square units. So looking at the two polygons below, notice how the rectangle is shaded in orange. The orange is representing the area of the rectangle, and in our second polygon, the blue is representing the area of that square. So both of those are shaded in to represent the space inside of those closed shapes. So that is the area. So we can find area by counting the tiles if they're there or multiplying the side lengths. So in the blue square on the right, I have squares inside, so I can count every single square that's there to find the area. But if you have shapes like the one on the left, and they don't have any squares inside, we can just multiply those side lengths that they give us. So we would just do 4 times 7 to find the area. We measure area in square units. A square unit is a 1 unit by 1 unit square. So notice how the square below have side lengths of 1 unit. And remember, to be a square, all of your sides have to be the same length. So a unit square is when you have a 1 by 1 square. So when we measure area in square units, it's because we can line up squares edge to edge without any gaps or overlapping. So notice how in that left rectangle, there's a lot of gaps in between those squares. And in the square on the right, I have a lot of overlapping squares. So they're not lined up edge to edge. So these are both examples of what not to do. And square units can come in different sizes. So larger objects would be easier to measure with larger square units. So notice how my first square is little bitty. The side lengths are still 1, but they're 1 square centimeter. My next square is a little bit bigger, and that's because it's being measured in inches. And then my next square is even bigger because they're measuring it in feet. And when you write your answer with area, you must include square units. So again, going back to our first two examples, in my rectangle, 4 inches times 7 inches would equal 28 square inches. And notice how it says square inches instead of units because they told me the unit of measurement in the problem when they labeled the sides. In the blue example, they haven't labeled any sides. All I have is squares inside of this shape. So I can label this answer as 9 square units because I don't know what they measured in. I don't know if it's centimeters, inches, feet, yards. So since they don't give me that in the problem, I can easily just say square units. So let's find the area of this figure. All you have to do is count how many tiles there are. Pause the video to find the area of this polygon. If you got 18 square units, you are correct. If you only said 18, not quite. You have to include square units when you're talking about area. You will be counted off if you don't include square units in your answer. Find the area of this figure and remember to include your label in your answer. If you'd said 10 square units, you're correct. And again, we can say square units because they don't tell us what we're measuring by in the problem. They haven't labeled the sides. Let's find the area of this figure. I'm noticing that there are a lot of squares to count. I can do that, it's no problem. But there's also that trick that I was telling you about in our target today. So we can multiply the side lengths to help us find the area. The reason why I can multiply on this example is because this looks like an array. I have the same number of squares in each row and in each column. So let's label these side lengths. I have 5 square units on the left and I have 6 square units on the top. I only need 2 side lengths to multiply by when I'm finding the area. And notice how I didn't multiply the opposite side lengths. I'm not going to say 5 times 5 because that's representing just the height of this figure. I want to do length times width. So I need one side that's on the left or the right and one side on the top or the bottom. So I chose the left and the top sides for my measurements. So I would just multiply 5 times 6 and my answer would be 30 square units. Don't forget your label in your answer. And to check myself, since I have these squares here, I can go back and count and make sure that there are actually 30 squares. Ooh, let's find the area of this figure now. That's a lot of squares. Let's use that trick that we learned about in the last example and multiply some side lengths. So label those first. Pause the video to see how tall this figure is and how long this figure is. So it is 7 square units tall and 10 square units long. So to find our area, we multiply 7 times 10, and our answer would be 70 square units. Do you think we can use multiplication to find the area of this shape? No, because we do not have the same number of squares in each row and column. This is not an array. It looks like someone took a bite out of the bottom right corner. So you can only multiply if your figure is in the shape of an array. You have to have the same number of squares in each row and in each column. So let's study these two shapes side by side. Which one of these do you think we can use multiplication to find the area? Remember, you need to have a shape that looks like an array. If you said the figure on the right, you're correct. Now, what if we don't have any squares at all? Well, no worries, they labeled those side lengths, so all we have to do is use multiplication. There isn't a way for us to check our answer easily with the shape, but we can always use equal groups, arrays, any of those multiplication strategies to check our answer. So in this example, what do you think we're going to multiply to find the area? If you said 3 times 5, you're right. What would our area be? And this time, look at the units that they gave you already in this problem. So good, my area would be 15 square inches. And I say inches this time because notice that the side lengths are labeled in inches, 3 inches by 5 inches. You could say 15 square units, but it wouldn't be as specific as saying 15 square inches. That helps the person reading your problem know, oh, they were measuring with a ruler in inches. Let's find the area of this figure. What do you think my equation would be? How would I solve to find the area? If you said 4 times 4, you're correct. Now, what does that equal? Good. 16 square feet. So if you caught that mistake, you're good. So it should be 16 square feet.